When Rome fell and the capital of world Christianity was split between Rome and Constantinople, the Byzantines began to leave their mark on Israel and Jerusalem, as we can still see in many places today. Although the Byzantines were displaced by the Persians for 15 years, their administration over Jerusalem resumed in 629. And they prevented the Jews from living in Jerusalem, and they even intentionally used the Temple Mount as a dump. A lot of the Byzantine remnants were either destroyed or Islamicized after the conquest of the Holy Land in 638, when the Islamic ruler Omar invaded Jerusalem and took it away from the Byzantines. Roughly 50 years after Omar's conquest, an Islamic ruler named Abd al-Malik built the famous Dome of the Rock, a shrine, not a mosque, which still stands today, one of the world's most recognized landmarks. Arab control of the city of Jerusalem continued in some form for the next 450 years or so, through at least 8 separate conquests and reconquests at the hands of various Arab dynasties. In 1099, the First Crusades gave the Europeans their shot at the religious volleyball called Jerusalem, and the Crusaders successfully conquered the Holy City and took control of it away from the Muslims. But after only 88 years, a famous Sultan of Egypt and Syria called Saladin took Jerusalem away from the Crusaders. Then along came the Egyptian Mamelukes, who took over ruling Jerusalem for the next 220 years or so. Meanwhile, the emerging Islamic Ottoman Empire was growing in power, and in 1517, the Ottomans captured Jerusalem. In 1541, the Muslims sealed the Eastern Gate in order to prevent any Jewish Messiah from ever entering the city. Following the First World War, the British took control of Jerusalem under the terms of something called the British Mandate, until the British Mandate ended and Israel was formally declared a sovereign nation on May 14, 1948. Surrounding Arab nations immediately began amassing armies for war, resulting in the Israeli War of Independence. Meanwhile, the United Nations determined that Israel held Jerusalem's new city, which it declared as its capital. When that war ended in 1949, agreements were signed resulting in lines that separated Israel and the territories of the West Bank, the Gaza Strip, and the Golan Heights. Peace didn't last long. In 1967, Israel, responding to an encroaching military threat, launched a preemptive defensive strike against an Egyptian military blockade of its seaports. This action began what is called the Six-Day War. During this war, Israel captured the Old City of Jerusalem and subsequently reopened it to all faiths. After the Six-Day War, Israel's leaders convened on the Temple Mount to decide whether to scrape it clean and build a third temple or to wait for a future Messiah to build it. The decision was made that it be left for the future, and that the Temple Mount, as a conciliatory peace gesture, should be handed over to the control of an Islamic council. This fragile agreement is the status quo that exists in Jerusalem today. There is so much history right here, and it's all very complicated and contentious. This is a place where passions and beliefs run very deep. I hope this brief timeline helps you understand why.